Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Coffee here, and today we're back with a whip and chat. Whip stands for work in progress. So get out whatever that is for you. Work along with me as I tell you some stories, y'all, and I got them, geez, of the coffee house shenanigans. Now, I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you had a great weekend. So today I decided, as I sat down, I didn't feel like diamond painting. I wanted to catch up on some stitching, so I figured I'd do a little stamped cross stitch with you as I told you the stories of the coffee house shenanigans. I know you don't mind, so let's get right into it. So, how was this weekend? This weekend was a hot, it was a hot mess express, okay? So first things first, this stamped cross stitch comes to us from the folks over at Oraloa. So they have some of their diamond paintings converted into stamped cross stitch. And I have a video on how to do stamped cross stitch on the channel. I did it a few weeks ago and told you guys that I would do a whip and chat with you guys with the stamped cross stitch, and I never got around to doing it. I tried once and it didn't go the best, so I was like, eh. So I decided I'm going to try again today. Anyways, enough of that. If you hear noises in the background, do keep in mind that the family, of course, is home because it's summer, so you might hear the kids or the dogs walking around in the background. Don't worry, they're fine. So, Friday night, we had a great night over on Twitch. What did we do? What did we do? I don't even remember what we... Oh, yeah, I remember. So, we were supposed to do some diamond painting. I was going to diamond paint on my Ravenclaw kit. And then, one of my mods, her name is Myasia, alerted us to the fact that she has a shop. Now, this shop is like a Facebook shop. So you go into the Facebook group, you comment on what you want, and then they send you an invoice. We were unaware of this, and Miss Coffee has a shopping problem, okay? So we spent the entire weekend letting people know to join this shop. And if you're interested, I'll put it in the description box of the video. But yeah, anyways, Oraloa has these stamped cross stitches, and so, like, when people see me working on them, they'll ask, like, where I got it and stuff, and a few of you have even started working on your own stamped cross stitch from Oraloa, and I asked them, and they do have more kits coming, so I'm super excited to see what other kits they have. Sorry, sometimes my nail will kick the thread out, which is why you've noticed that my nails lately have been shorter than usual, because they like to kick the thread out of the needle. So yeah, so Friday we were looking at like people's whips over in the Discord, and that's when we got word of this shop that Myasia had. So we went over and checked out her shop, and essentially that was the entire stream. It was just us looking at Myasia's shop and looking at Discord and seeing what everybody else is working on. And then Saturday came, and Saturday Mr. Coffee was acting funny, and I didn't know what was wrong with him. He just kept, like, he woke up when I did, and I was like, whoa, why are you, he never wakes up on a Saturday with me. And so he's like, you know, I have stuff to do today. And I was like, oh, okay. I figured he was getting ready for his D&D game because he plays D&D on Sundays, like every other Sunday. So I figured he had some stuff he had to get ready for that, because I don't know what all entails in it. I just know it takes him hours to play whatever this game is. So I'm just like, you know, all right, bet, whatever. So he's playing the game, and then I hear him, like, get a phone call, and it's not a work call. And he's like, yeah, around this time. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And I can't ask him. I'm in the middle of streaming. We did art on Saturday, and so I'm over there drawing, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what in the world he has going on, that, you know, he has people coming to the house in the evening. And I'm like, I wasn't aware that I was supposed to be making more food, and it's Saturday, so I don't cook on Saturdays anyway. So I was, you know, I was nosy. I was like, hey, who you inviting to the house? And he's like, don't worry about it. And I was like, what do you mean don't worry about it? Well, after I finished streaming, I figured out what he was doing. He was calling a coworker to see if she could come keep an eye on the kids for us. Now, Orion is 12, so he is old enough to stay home with Maggie, but Maggie gives him hell. So we wanted to have him have backup. So we asked, or apparently Mr. Coffee asked, one of his coworkers if they would come sit with the kids while we went out on our date. And she, of course, said yes. So she came over, and she's a really nice lady, one of his work co-friends that I know. And so, and I'm not telling you her name because, you know, I'm not putting her business out there. Not everybody wants their names and stuff on social media. So yeah, so Mr. Coffee's like, go ahead and go upstairs and get, you know, cleaned up and get dressed. And I'm like, where are we going? And I'm thinking, oh, we're going to the Badlands finally, because I've been begging to go to the Badlands. Again, I don't know why I need to get there so bad. I just want to go. And it's a trip we take every year. So I'm like, we haven't taken our yearly trip to the Badlands. What is taking so long? Well, he wants to wait until next week, because next week he's off work for the entire week. And that's because he's on vacation. Now that he's salary, he can actually take vacation, which is nice. So he'll have the entire week off next week. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I go upstairs, I get dressed, and he goes, no, dress up nice. And I was like, what do you mean dress up nice? What does that mean? We went out on our date finally. We finally went out on our date, and he asked me, where would you like to go? Like, I want to go out to dinner. Where are we going for dinner? And so I was like, oh, okay. He rattled off a few restaurants, and I was like, we haven't tried Doc Holidays before, so why don't we go ahead and try Doc Holidays? And he's like, oh, okay. So we drive down, to Doc Holidays. It's not far from the house, and I purposely made it that one because I know exactly where it's at, and it isn't far from the house in case there was an emergency with the kids that I could be home. Yes, I'm a helicopter parent. Yes, I'm overly paranoid. Welcome to it. So I was like, yeah, it's right down the street. We can go down there, get, food and, whatever, and then come back home, and we can be back, in less than a couple of hours. So we go to Doc Holidays, and it's a Saturday, okay? It's a Saturday, so I expected it to be busy, and they were. And so I'm sitting there, and he's like, they probably have a wait. Are you okay with waiting? Now take it. The reason he asked that was because I was in a dress. I rarely ever wear a dress. I had my hair done, and I had on wedges. So wedges, like shoes. And I haven't worn any kind of like platformed shoes, heels, or anything in years. Shoot, I don't even remember the last time I had tennis shoes on, okay? Like, I'm home a lot of the time, so I don't typically wear shoes often. I'm Southern. I don't like wearing shoes. So he was like, are you going to be okay if we have to wait? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to die or anything. Like, my feet might hurt, but they'll get over it. So he was like, all right. So we walk in, and of course there is a massive line, and the lady tells us there's a 35 to 45 minute wait unless we want to sit at the bar. And I'm thinking, yeah, we can go sit at the bar. Mr. Coffee like smiles at me. He goes, you going to get a drink? And I was like, no, I just don't want to wait. I just don't want to wait, sir. So we head on over to the bar area. Now, in the bar area, there are no tables, okay? I was expecting there to be tables. There were not. And when I say tables, I mean like a table with chairs. No, there was very much circular tables with bar stools. And I was like, oh, okay. This will be fine. It'll be fine. It's a stool. It's whatever. I'm old, okay? I need back support. And I don't know how people do it that drink and go to the bar and sit on these stools and not fall off. But look, listen. This ain't the life for me, okay? Stools are not the life for me. I'm currently sitting on a stool only because it has a cushion on it and it's comfortable. Bar stools are not comfortable. So take it. Now remember, I'm in a dress, okay? A dress. And the dress kind of comes down longer in the back than it does in the front. It's made that way. So it's from like my little Stitch Fix box. And I told Mr. Coffee that I wanted to start like going out and doing things like him and I, because we don't ever do that. And because I just started getting all these pretty clothes, and I really wanted to wear them, but I felt stupid kind of just wearing them around the house. So I was like, we really need to go out and do things. So this is what he chose to do first. It was go out on this date. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to wear a dress. I'm going to dress up real nice, and I'm going to wear a dress. So I wore a dress, and that's the picture you guys saw on social media. That was us leaving another restaurant. So I'm sitting there, and I go to get on this stool, and immediately I slide off, just real quick, like a Temptation in the 80s, just woo. And I was like, oh, snap. Oh, these are slick chairs. Now, these are the type of bar stools, right, that have that red top. And usually the ones that have the red top, they're smooth, but they don't have like the super hard plastic on them. These had the hard plastic on them, okay? They were slick as crap, okay? So I'm sitting there struggling. Like, okay, how am I supposed to sit on this chair if my dress is made out of like silk or Chanel or something, some really soft material, okay? And so the bar stool was like it was slick. So me sitting on it was making it even slicker because I'm of course sitting on my dress. I'm not going to sit my bare behind on the stool because I don't want to sit my bare behind on the stool. I don't know who was sitting there before me, so I don't want to sit my butt on the stool. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to struggle through this. We're going to ride the struggle bus. And no, the back of my fabric is not perfect, so don't look at it. But I'm like, I'm going to have to ride the struggle bus, but I'm sitting on this stool, okay? So I'm riding the struggle bus hard, but I finally get myself situated. Now, the way I have to sit, this bar stool also doesn't have like the normal legs on it. Like this is a Midwestern bar, okay? So it has like what looks like pieces of wood in 4 like ways going up, and then a big hunk of wood here, a big hunk of wood on the sides, and I'm sitting there like, how am I supposed to sit on this? So I'm sitting on the stool and I'm sliding back and forth. Like literally my butt is skiing on this seat. And I cannot sit still. I'm like, what the flip? So I decide to position my feet so that they're essentially anchoring me to the seat and I can't move. Doing this, now remember, I have on wedges. So there's nothing to grab the shoe because it's a wedge. So like, it's a wedge. So the wedges are slipping. I'm slipping back and forth. My wedges are slipping. Mr. Coffee sees me struggling, okay? He sees me fighting for my life. And he's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. What's up? He's like, you seem to be struggling with sitting down. I'm like, I think as an adult, right? The one thing I can do is sit down. I'm fine. As I'm literally sliding slowly off the chair. I'm fine. What do you mean, sir? Like, I got this. I did not have this, y'all. I was struggling. My brain was like, how long until we get up out of here because I cannot sit on this chair. So we're sitting there, and as I'm having my internal struggle, you know, people are passing by and, you know, smiling and waving at us and whatever, and Mr. Coffee's dressed up nice too, and we're a little overdressed for this restaurant. Okay, let me just say that we're a little overdressed. Most people were in there in like jeans and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt. Like nobody was dressed up like us. Well, there was a couple of people that were like, you know, dressed, but it felt kind of weird because I felt out of place. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, we're going to order our food and then we'll get out of here and I can get off this blasted chair. There were no open tables for me to go to. The bar area only had these stools unless you sat at the actual bar. Even if sitting at the actual bar, they only had the stools without backs on them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to suck. So I'm leaned over the table like a goblin with my feet anchored in the bottom of the chair to keep me on there while my butt is trying not to slip all over this seat, okay? By the time I got off this seat, this chair was 100% polished. You could have eaten off that seat. It was so polished, okay? So we're watching people walk past us. People sit down behind us. People sit down beside us. People behind us get their order taken, and we're still sitting there waiting to get our order taken. And I was like, wait a minute. Did our waitress just pass by us and not, you know, acknowledge us or anything? And they took the order of the people behind us and the people beside us, but not us. So we're sitting there and they sat themselves just like we were told to seat ourselves in the bar. And our waitress, she looked me in my face at least 3 or 4 times, passed right by us, didn't say a word. And then after a few minutes, I looked at her and kind of like waved her over, and I was like, can we get our order taken? And she's like, oh, I didn't realize you guys were waiting. And I was like, you walked past us like 3 or 4 times, whatever. So I was like, she's like, yeah. So she goes over and gets us silverware and menus, and they're busy, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. She goes over and gives us menus and silverware, and she goes, what can I get you to drink? And she's like, by the way, can I see your ID? And I'm thinking, are you serious right now? Like, are you serious? And she's like, well, if you're sitting in the bar, you have to show ID. Now, I didn't hear her ask for ID for the couple behind us or the couple beside us, okay? All look to be about the same age as us, okay? For Mr. Coffee, this is not uncommon for him to get carded, okay? For me, I don't know, because I don't go out, so I wouldn't know if it's common for me to get carded. I haven't been carded in years, and it's because I don't usually buy things. The last thing I got carded for was the fact that I bought Robitussin from Walmart, okay? So, like, other than that, I don't drink, I don't smoke, or, you know, anything of the sort like that. I vape, but I don't smoke. Speaking of that, hold on a second. So, I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, this dress ain't got no pockets, okay? I ain't got no pockets. I don't have ID in here, and I'm already struggling to sit on this seat. So I kind of stand up so I can readjust myself on this seat. And I'm like, I don't have my ID with me. She goes, oh, well, if you're going to sit in the bar area, you have to get carded. And I'm like, okay. And she said it in like a snippy way, like, well, if you're going to sit here, then, you know, whatever. So I was like, hun, would you mind running to the car and getting my wallet, please? And luckily, we parked right next to the door where we were sitting. So he was able to just go right out the door we were sitting at, get the wallet, and bring it back in. She looks at me, like, this entire time, she's, like, scowling at me, like, how dare I sit in this section or something. Mr. Coffee goes out, gets my wallet. I give her my ID, and I'm like, I'm almost 40 years old. And she goes, I can see that. And then she hands me back my wallet, and I'm like, oh, we about to be best friends. We about to be best friends, okay? So then she cards me. She looks at Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee hands her his card. She doesn't even look at it, okay? She doesn't even look at it. She's like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, it's okay. So then she's like, what can I get you to drink? And I was like, do you guys have like Sprite or something? She goes, oh, you don't want something from the bar? And I'm like, no, I don't drink. And she's like, oh, yeah, we have Sprite. And I was like, can I get a Sprite, please? And Mr. Coffee's like, can I? And she like, as he's getting ready to say something, she looks over and she goes, she like gives him this big smile, and she's like, what can I get you, darling? And I'm like, excuse me? Like, that's what we're doing in 2023? You're just gonna try to, okay. And at first, I just kind of let it go. And he was like, can I get a Coke, please? And she's like, sure thing. And so she takes his order. She takes my, you know, drink order. She goes, I'll be right back. So then she leaves. And I was just like, does this seem odd to you? And he's like, it seems a little odd. But, you know, let's just try to have a good time. And I was like, okay. So she comes back and she puts our drinks down. She goes, you know, do you guys know what you want to order? And she's like, let's start with you first, darling. And I was like, okay, all right, look, listen. His name is either going to be Sir or Mr. Tepper. You're going to address him as such. You're going to stop with this darling stuff and being disrespectful to me, his wife. And she's like, oh, my apologies. I didn't mean any disrespect by it. I'm like, but it's very disrespectful. And so what you're not going to do is smile and make googly eyes at my husband while I'm sitting here. It must be embarrassing for you. And she apologized, and I was like, so please just take our order and, you know, do whatever. So apparently she takes our order. She gets his food first. She then gets mine. She goes and puts it in. And then we don't see her again. She does not come back, which was not surprising. I wouldn't have come back either if I had just gotten embarrassed like that. So she did not come back. Somebody else brought us our food and checked on us once to make sure we were okay and refilled our drinks. But she did not come back. And so when it came time for a tip, I was like, he's like, I'm not leaving a tip for that. I'm like, no, you have to, because there's already a bad stigma that, you know, my people don't leave tips. So you have to leave some type of a tip. And he goes, yeah, but the service we got, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I just leave a tip. It doesn't have to be huge, but you're going to leave a tip because they did serve us. And even if somebody else gets it and it's not her, you're at least going to, you know, put money in somebody else's pocket. So he's like, okay. So he does leave a tip, and we leave. And he goes, I should have complained to the manager or something. I'm like, no, there's no point. They wouldn't have done anything. They know that person is like that. That's why they hired them. So it is what it is. And they didn't seem like a rookie waitress. They seemed like they were a veteran of that place. So I wouldn't really waste my time with it. It's just literally going to go in one ear and out the other. He goes, that's very much a place you would take somebody for a lunch, like a business lunch. And he's like, we should have went somewhere else. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just, you know, tell me another choice besides that place? But let me tell you about this food before we move on. So they bring us out our appetizer. Y'all, they were supposed to be nacho fries with black beans. Okay, I love black beans. And I was all excited. They were supposed to have like chicken in them or something. Whatever this monstrosity that they set in front of us was not nachos, okay? Was not nachos. Whatever that was not nachos. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Y'all, it took everything in my power to not immediately upchuck as soon as she put it on the table. It smelled horrific, okay? It looked horrific. If I had to guess, right, it looked like something you would find after washing dishes, for like after you finish your evening dishes, like in the evening after dinner, after you've rinsed all the plates and all that food that gets caught in the bottom of the drain as you're like finishing up washing dishes. It looks like they took that and threw it on some old soggy fries and then threw cheese on it, put it in an oven, and went, here you go. It was the most disgusting freaking thing I've ever seen or smelled. It smelled horrendous. And literally, as soon as she put it on the table, I was like, ugh. And she's like, there you go. And then she, like, the lady walks away. Now, this isn't the same waitress. This was a different waitress. And I was just like, what the fuck is that? And Mr. Coffee looks at me and he's like, you want some? No, there's no way. There's no way. How many of y'all remember Ernest Goes to Camp? Y'all remember Ernest Goes to Camp? If you don't remember Ernest Goes to Camp, you might be too young for this channel. That green slop that looked like porridge, oatmeal, whatever, that they were throwing around and everything, it looked like that with fries sticking out of the bottom of it. I was like, there ain't no way I'm putting this anywhere near my mouth. Mr. Coffee took 3 bites and was like, yeah, that doesn't taste too hot. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't look hot either. And then came time to order our main dish, and I got steak quesadillas, and Mr. Coffee got a au burger, some kind of burger that had au sauce, like a French dip sauce or a French dip sandwich. And he liked his French dip sandwich. The steak quesadilla wasn't bad. The steak was really tough, like it was old. And it wasn't bad, though. It wasn't bad. So I ate that. He ate his food, and then we left. And when we left, he was upset because he really wanted to make that night special, because that's the first time him and I have been on a date in 13 years. We have our late night date nights, but literally that was the first date we've had in 13 years, and he was upset because he thought it was ruined because of the crappy service and the bad waitress. And I was like, no, it's, you know, it's whatever. Because then even when they handed him the check, as someone who has been a server before, I know when you're trying to hit on a guy, you'll slide your number on their check, like on the back of it or something, so that they'll get it. So when the lady went to go hand the check to Mr. Coffee, I grabbed the check and I was like, I'll take care of that, thank you. Just to check to make sure there was like no phone number or anything on it. And so, sorry, I wanted to check something real quick. Just to make sure there was no phone number or anything on it, because I know how that, you know, how that goes. And also I'm super paranoid. So I look it over and I go, you know, do you have your card? And a good thing that I did do that, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit. So we get it out in the car, and he's a little upset because, you know, he feels like the night is ruined. And I'm like, it's not ruined, but let's go get dessert. How about that? Let's go to a place to go get dessert, because, you know, maybe that will make it, you know, make up for it. And he's like, okay, I know exactly where to go. And I was like, oh, because I was going to tell him to go to Cold Stone so we could, like, you know, go sit down or something, because that's even closer to the house. But nah, home dude was like, I know exactly where we're going. And I was like, okay. We go over to Dairy Queen. Why did we go to Dairy Queen? Dairy Queen is one of my favorite places to get dessert. I love swirl cones. And it's just enough chocolate to make my stomach hurt, but not make me sick. Like, I can eat a soft serve cone and not get sick off of it. So, because I'm not lactose intolerant. I just have an allergy to chocolate, but I also love chocolate. So I will risk it for the biscuit, but I will also pay for it in the end. So he wanted to take and get me a swirl cone from Dairy Queen because he knows they're my favorite. So we went over to Dairy Queen and we got, you know, ice cream for us and for the kids. And then we went back home, and that was our date night. Though I struggled, we were probably in that restaurant for about an hour and a half. And though I struggled to keep on that seat and that waitress was flirting with Mr. Coffee, it wasn't a bad night. And I told him that when we got back. I'm like, it wasn't a bad night. These things happen. These things happen. And, all you can do is just kind of, move past it. And so we talked after we got home, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to play my game for a little bit. And I'm like, I'm going to go play my game and figure out what's going on with it, because my Sims game has been acting kind of funky wonky, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And so I had to enlist the help of some like Sims gurus. And yeah, so I came back in my craft room, and then I started talking with Shadow, which is usually what I do Saturday evenings. And him and I talk into the wee hours of the morning, because we're both night owls. And then I went to bed, and then we woke up Sunday. Now the problem was I woke up hella late. Like I went to bed hella late on Sunday, and so I went to bed at 4 and then tried to get up at 6. Look, listen, the way my body's set up, I need more sleep than that. I was dragging, but I still decided to stream. We did some stitching over there as well on Sunday, and then Mr. Coffee had his D&D game, and then I spent the rest of the time after stream. We were supposed to play Fall Guys, like the kids and I were supposed to play Fall Guys, but Orion was busy playing with his friend. Maggie was outside playing with her friends. And I was like, okay, well, if everybody's busy and they want to play later, then I'm going to go work on my Sims game to see what's wrong with it. Because I downloaded some mods in CC and it's not working the way it's supposed to, which happens sometimes, especially if the mods are outdated or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, let me go see, what's going on with it. So I go ahead and start trying to work on that. Come to find out that I had downloaded quite a few duplicate files. I had over 5,000 duplicate files that I had to then go manually take and find and then delete. It took about 6 hours for me to do this. It took 6 hours for me to do this, but I did finally get it done. And I was like, yeah, and in between time, I was like working on like my counted cross stitch. The counted cross stitch is coming along okay. Doing it square by square is driving me nuts, so I haven't been working on it as much as I would like to have been working on it. But I am working on it, and it's coming out, pretty good. So I'm excited about that. But then there was this morning. This morning I woke up, and it's Monday today that I'm recording this. I woke up, and like I normally do, I check my bank accounts and, try to balance my checkbook and whatnot, just to make sure to see how much money we have and see what we need for groceries and how much that's going to cost us and everything else. And because I wait until Monday, because banks be doing all kinds of weird stuff with the banking stuff over the weekend. So it doesn't necessarily like read correctly. And so I'm like, okay, I go check the account. Everything looks fine. So I was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and order some groceries. Orion has turned into quite the little young man. He has started making his own grocery list for me. And by that, he'll let me know when he's out of snacks, or if they're out of juice, or if he needs more chips or something of the sort. So he wrote me a grocery list, and I was like, okay, so I need to get the things on Orion's grocery list today, because Mr. Coffee kind of did a little bit of shopping for us yesterday. So I was like, all right, so let me see what all I have to get. So I get the things in my cart. And what is up with Walmart delivery right now, and why they're only accepting 8 items for a delivery? Make it make sense. I don't understand why. Now, when I order from them, I don't order like grocery shopping. I order like maybe 12 items. But you're now only allowed to get 8. You know how hard it is to try to get 8 items? I end up placing multiple delivery orders because I have more than 8 items. And so I'm like, I feel like it's a waste of their time to have people do that for only 8 items, because, unless it's their big ticketed items, you're not going to be spending a whole lot in that 8 items. But I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. So I go to place my order, and my card says declined. And I was like, wait, what? Go to place my order again, comes up declined again. And I was like, okay. So I get out of Walmart app, I refresh it, and then I go back into the app and I go to place my order and it says card declined. And I'm like, but the money's right there. Why is it declined? Well, I noticed when I looked at my bank account, there was a charge on there. It was a credit and then a debit. Or it was a debit, then a credit. So they took a penny out and then put a penny in. And I was like, what the hell was that? All right. Didn't think too much of it. I was just like, whatever. Well, I call the bank. And I hate calling customer service because I just got over the debacle with AT&T and the $900. Don't worry, I didn't have to pay the $900. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay, let me call the bank to see what's going on because I don't recognize this charge. Mr. Coffee rarely ever uses the card, and if he does, it's usually at the convenience store. If he buys something offline, he's pretty good at telling me, hey, I bought something offline. So I was like, what is this charge? It's only a penny, but still, I don't recognize that name, even though a lot of companies and places have weird names when it comes to charging. So I was like, whatever. But let me see what's going on with my card, though, because the card says it's still active, but it's not letting me buy anything. So I was like, all right. So I call the bank. I call the card services first, and they say that they don't recognize my card. And I was like, the hell? I'm holding it in my hand. What do you mean you don't recognize it? So then I have to call the actual bank. So I call the actual bank, okay? And my bank is straight gangsta. This is the bank that we have in PA. So this bank isn't even in the same state as me. So I call the bank and I'm like, hi, I'm such and such. I am having an issue with my card. Could you guys help me out? And I was like, it says that, card services says my card doesn't exist. And the guy was like, oh, yeah. From the looks of it, you're calling from, and he says, North Dakota. And I was like, yes. And he goes, were you happening to be on vacation recently? I'm like, I've never been on vacation a day in my life. What do you mean? He just kind of laughed, and I was like, no, I'm serious. I've never been on vacation. What do you mean? He's like, oh, so you weren't in Florida? And I was like, no. Why the hell would I be in Florida? And he's like, okay, so I'm glad we blocked it then. I'm like, what are we blocking? Apparently, someone down in the great state of Florida had decided that they were going to get a hold of my credit card information somehow. Though I haven't used my physical credit card in quite some time, and I rarely use it online, they decided that they were going to get a hold of my credit card and try to charge $2,000 worth of crap on my credit card. And I was like, I'm sorry. Say what? I'm sorry. Say what? Luckily for me, I have a really good bank, and the bank was like, nah, that looks super sus. And they stopped the transaction. Now, typically when they do that, they send you an email letting you know, hey, is this you? This you? You out here spending like you got it when you know you ain't? But I got no email this time. Until he said that, and then magically, boom, like magic, I got the email, and I was like, wait, what? Some place down in Florida had gotten a hold of my credit card and tried to charge $2,000. And so this is why I was glad that I didn't pay for our dinner, because my card had been shut off since Friday. And that tells you how often I use it. It had been shut off since Friday, okay? So I was like, what the flip? Now, the only thing I did this past Friday was I paid bills. That's it. And I paid bills. And I think I paid like 2 or 3 bills. Like, I paid my side chick bills. Like your water and electric and stuff. I paid my side chick bills. And that was it. And yes, those are the right bills to pay this week. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out, how could somebody have gotten a hold of my credit card information? And the guy goes, you have had this card for quite some time, and it was about time for you to change the card number anyway, so we are going to send you out a new card. And I was like, okay, thank you. So apparently I have to get a new card with a whole new number because somebody has stolen my credit card information. And I'm like, great. We loves that. We hates that for me. We hates that for me. Have you ever had your credit card information stolen? And now the sad part is, I've heard of this happening before, and never in my 38 years on this planet have I ever experienced it. This is the first time I've had somebody try to steal my credit card information. And I say try because they literally failed miserably. My bank immediately caught on to what was going on and stopped the transaction and cut the card off so that they couldn't try to keep making the transaction. And so, well, no, I lied. Okay, this happened to me one other time with Best Buy, my Best Buy credit card. And they pretty much did the same thing. They saw somebody tried to make a transaction. It wasn't in the same state as me. And then they tried to make 4 more transactions like back to back. So they stopped it. So same thing with the bank. I'm tying my tail off here so I can start another one. So the bank pretty much saw the transaction and was like, nah, we ain't letting that one go through. And they stopped it before they were able to do any damage to the account. Which is great until I got the notification this morning that my cable bill didn't get paid because my credit card was linked, and that's the card that I used. And where most places, when you use your bank card, it immediately takes the money off your card. With my cable company, they treat it like it's coming straight from your bank account and not from a card. So they don't charge it right away. They only charge it on like the next business day. Like even if you pay it first thing in the morning, they'll charge your card the next business day. And so I hate the fact that companies do that because, you know, for those folks who don't have a lot of money, you end up forgetting or, you know, not realizing that they didn't take the money out. And then you end up spending more than you should have, and it overdrafts your account. And then, of course, they hit you with those overdraft fees, and that's how people get into debt. So I typically try not to spend anything on the card until those transactions have cleared, because I know that I've had that happen to me before where I didn't realize that they hadn't taken the money out, and I didn't pay close enough attention to my account to realize that they hadn't done this. And I bought something that was more than what I had available, and then I went overdraft, and I stayed like that for like 6 months until I was able to get it all cleared up and figured out. So I'm very cautious now about, you know, making sure that I don't spend anything, which is the reason why the card hadn't been used. And it's because of having that type of mindset and cycle on my bank account that the bank deducted that the charge that was coming through was not me, because they know I don't use the card on the weekends. I never use my card on the weekends. And I've been with this bank since I want to say, I've had an account with them since I was 17. So quite a few years I've had this bank account with them. And I've had it long enough that they know like how I operate, how I do things, how often I use the card and everything else. And so they knew something was up. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just rolling this to make it easier for me to get to this centerpiece that I'm working on. I'm going to fold the other side because I don't have this in a Q-snap right now. I take it out of the Q-snap because it's a little hard to maneuver when I'm trying to record a video. So for those folks wondering. So yeah, so date night it wasn't bad. I did enjoy my time because I got to spend time with Mr. Coffee and I looked cute, and that's all that mattered. The kids had fun. Ryan asked if next time, because the lady that came and stayed with them, she was like, I literally didn't move off this couch. Like, they didn't make a peep. And I'm like, they're usually like that. They're boring kids. So Orion asked if next time he could just watch Maggie for that little bit of time, because he's like, y'all were barely gone. Like, he acted like he was mad. He's like, y'all were barely gone. I can just watch Maggie for an hour. And Maggie's like, I promise to be good for Orion. And I was like, I don't believe you. You have diabetes, ma'am. I don't believe you. So we're thinking that the next time Mr. Coffee has off, which will be next weekend, he's off all week next week. And supposedly his mother is supposed to be coming to visit. Now, if this happens, I'm taking the week off. You won't realize it. Minus the fact that you won't get a whip and chat. You'll get a weekly vlog. Or not a weekly vlog, I'm sorry. You'll get weekly vlogs are for Patreon. You'll get a Twitch replay instead of the whip and chat. Because if my mother-in-law's in town, who we haven't seen in probably 2 years, I'm not going to be taking time away to record videos and stuff. That's just not happening. So y'all will get a Twitch replay if she happens to come into town. And we're going to the Badlands, and we're going to the water park and the trampoline park and all the fun things that we wanted to do all the fun things that we wanted to do this summer, we're going to try to pack in. And it's funny because I told Mr. Coffee this morning that I was going to go over to Walmart, and I'm glad I didn't go over and I tried the delivery first. I was going to go over to Walmart to get the kids the school supplies. Yes, school supplies are already out. My kids don't go back to school for an entire month. Like, they still have an entire month off of school, and school supplies are already out. So I was like, and where I live, I don't know about anybody else, but where I live, if you don't get those school supplies as soon as they come out, this slim pickings the rest of the time before school starts. And then the day that school starts, all the school supply stuff gets put away, because usually they have it like right in the front of the store right before school starts. And then after like the first day of school, they put it all away. Like, you have to search the entire store to find it. And so like that first year that we moved here, trying to find a backpack, because we didn't know school stuff was out. And so that it was our first year being here, and they had, like, by the time we got out to, you know, where I lived at in PA, you could go school shopping like a week or two before school, because that's when they put school supplies out. Here, they were like, nay, school supplies come out in July. July 1st, school supplies are out. If you don't get them before July 10th, you're slim pickings. You're picking over crumbs, okay? Because people be out here ready to send these kids back to school. And so I was like, you know, school supplies are out. I should probably go ahead and go get the school list. And the school list this year should be like significantly cheaper, because Maggie is now going to the intermediate school. She will spend 1 year in the intermediate school before heading over to the same school that Orion's in, which is that fancy like Hogwarts Academy with the horrible principal. But she has to complete 5th grade to go over there first. So she's going to be doing her 5th grade stuff there, and then she'll transfer over. But the school list should be significantly cheaper, because most of the stuff that she needed, like Play-Doh and markers and color pencils and stuff that they never use that entire year, but we had to buy it anyways, that stuff isn't necessarily needed in the intermediate school. She literally is going to need like 4 notebooks, which I already have, and like some pens. I still have supplies from last year. I literally bought pretty much, I think the only thing I really have to buy the kids this year is pencils. Nope. No, I don't. I just saw a pack of pencils over there. I have to buy them backpacks and clothes. That's it. That's it. Because I was smart last year while we had the money. I went ahead and bought the school supplies for this year, last year. So I still am sitting on a stockpile in my room and back here of notebooks, markers, Sharpies, stuff like that. Stuff like little things that they typically need. Loose leaf paper, 3-ring binders. Like, I have them all stashed in the house here. And that way, when it comes time for it and they need it, I already have it. Let me make sure I put that on the right. Yeah, I did. I'm up here running my mouth. I ain't paying attention what I'm doing. So, yeah. So, school's getting ready to start here in about a month. I'm not excited about it, but, you know, school year, yay. I'm not excited about it. Well, I am and I'm not. I'm not because I have to leave the house, but I am because I don't have to leave the house an hour early like I used to. So I would have to sit at the elementary school for an hour before school ended, because if you didn't, you were not getting parking. Okay, you will not get a parking spot. Literally, that road is closed off by vehicles because there's so many people trying to get their kids from elementary school. And so, because of this, they would advise that you came to the school a little bit early. I was there an hour early every day. 1 o'clock, I'm sitting at the school, okay? Or 2 o'clock, I'm sorry. So, yeah. And this year, the kids' schools are right across the street from each other. So I literally have to park in one spot and wait for both of them to get out of the car or get out of school. So I'm super excited about that. That means I also can take both of them to school because of the fact that their schools are right next door to each other. Or right across the street, I should say. And so now it'll just be me taking the kids back and forth to school, and I have to go all the way across town to do so. That part I'm not excited about, because on those days where it's raining, or not so much raining, but the snowy days, there's a lot of twisty, turny roads. Like there's like 2 roundabouts I have to go around to get to the kids' schools, and there's no way to avoid them. So I'm not excited about that, but I am excited about the fact that I don't have to leave an hour early. I could probably leave the house at like 2:30 and still get there in plenty enough time to have a parking spot. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm excited for Maggie to get into the 5th grade because she's been doing really good with her reading, y'all. She's been reading during the summer. Like, I've been having her read to me while I'm playing my games or something, or while I'm sitting back here. Like, I even adjusted the microphone volume to my microphone for Twitch so that when she wants to read while I'm streaming, she can read to me and y'all can't hear her. So I'm excited for that. We also got Orion fast-tracked. He has learned how to edit videos. And one of the things he wanted to do this summer was start making videos for YouTube. Now, he's wanted to do YouTube since he knew who Markiplier was. Okay? Once he found out that people can get, you know, known on the internet for YouTube and stuff like that, like that's been his dream, is to do YouTube. Obviously, he's too young. But when he's 13, he can have his own YouTube channel. So what we talked about doing was letting him record videos and edit them. Once he edits them, we would let him stash it away for when he does debut his channel. And then when he turns 13, he can start slowly releasing them, and he'll have a nice stash of them so that he won't get behind or anything or feel like he's behind. And we'll have him like release like 1 or 2 videos a week. And of course, I'm going to help him. I'm not going to help him a whole lot, but I'm going to help him because he's going to have to know how to do this on his own. And because I do very basic editing, I wanted him to know what it's like to edit like a video game. I don't edit video games, and I don't do a lot of editing because my fan base likes simplicity. They like the ease of use, if you will, which is understandable because I'm the same way. So I don't do a lot of fancy editing and like, you know, looping and all this other stuff. I literally just throw some end cards on a title screen and go on about my business. So I wanted him to learn, like, and I do know how to do like fancy editing. I just don't. I don't because it's not required. So, sorry, I'm trying to find the hole there. So he has gotten on the fast track to learning how to do all that stuff, and he's ready. And he comes down yesterday and he's like, "Mom, when am I going to get a second screen?" And I'm like, "A second screen? What do you need a second screen for?" And he's like, "For when I record." And I'm like, "What?" Now, take it. I have 4 screens for Twitch, okay? I have 3 for when I am just doing regular stuff, and then a 4th one for if I'm playing games because my computer's hooked up to the 4th one. And so he would like another screen for when he records. And I'm like, we got to talk to your dad about that one. That's something, that's your dad's realm. So we're going to talk to Mr. Coffee. I was supposed to talk to him last night, but I got hooked back into The Sims and figuring that out and like getting all that done. We're going to see about possibly getting him another screen for recording his videos on and doing editing and such. Not a computer, just a screen. He just needs the screen. So we're gonna get that possibly, you know, all situated and worked out for him, and he will probably start recording videos ASAP. But he was already told also that if that is something that he wants to do, and of course it's going to be like child-friendly channel of him playing Minecraft or like Fortnite and stuff like that. He already has pretty much everything he needs. He just needs to, you know, do it. And we already told him, like, you know, if your grades are at all declined because of this, you will stop making videos. You will have to wait until after you're out of school to start doing this. And he promised us that, you know, his grades wouldn't decline and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, fine. We're going to trust the fact that you're going to do good in school. You're going to keep doing good in school, and we're not going to have to worry about anything. So, yeah, so there's that. Maggie, on the other hand, is excited to go back to school because she's getting better at things, but then she digresses sometimes. So, like, she was getting better at eating there for a little bit, and then she digressed. So if you saw the photo this past weekend of her sitting at the table on Instagram with the dogs behind her, she was upset because we had pork chops, which is what she had specially requested for lunch. We had pork chops, and she she had decided, well, when we sat down and ate, that she didn't want pork chops anymore. You know, kid things. And so she was made to sit there until she ate it. She did eventually eat it. And I sat back here watching her because I wanted to make sure she didn't try to feed it to the dogs, which is why the dogs were sitting behind her, because she did drop some vegetables on the floor. And Killian, of course, if you drop it on the floor, it's now Killian's realm. He is quick as all get out to pick up any food that you drop on the floor. So I stayed back here working on my sim stuff to keep an eye on her. And then I was like, are you guys ready to play Fall Guys? And they were like, no, we're still, you know, doing whatever. They went off and played nicely together. Matter of fact, she's coming in here now to come ask for something. So I'm gonna pause y'all real quick. Yeah, she wanted to see if she could have a sleepover at the little kids' house that we just let her start playing again with. That's the third time that they've asked for her to sleep over, and I'm like, no, she's not even on her seizure medication, but I don't trust them yet enough to let her sleep over there. So she, unfortunately, where she can play with them, she won't be sleeping over. We'll have to have a talk about that. It's so far, her playing with the kids have been fine. There hasn't been any issues. They've been playing nicely. I want there to be a period of time that goes past that they continue this behavior before I'm okay with her sleeping over. She probably will have at least one possible sleepover with them before summer ends, but right now it's a definite no. It's a definite no. Anyways, but yeah, so Maggie, she's still doing pretty decently with food. She has gained weight. We got a scale so that we could start weighing her. She has gained a couple of pounds since summer. She's definitely gotten taller. Oh my God, these kids grow like weeds. She definitely has gotten taller. So has Orion. And so we're excited for the new year starting. I got to buy them new clothes and weed out their old clothes. We also have to go through, and Maggie has requested that we get rid of a good portion of the clothes in the toys in her room, because she doesn't play with them anymore. And when she's looking for something in her closet, it becomes a hassle because she feels that she has to throw everything out of her closet just to find something. So she has requested that we get rid of the toys, and we can't even donate them because they were not gently used. So that kind of makes me upset, because every year with Maggie or with Minna and Orion, we would donate their toys so that other kids could play with them, because they were always gently used. But then there's Maggie, who is a marker fiend and likes to draw makeup and everything else on her toys. And I'm like, oh, there's always got to be that one wild child. If you have children, do you have that one wild child? Which child is it? The middle, the oldest, or the youngest? In my case, it's the youngest. In my generation, it was my sister, Auntie Jasmine, and she's the youngest. We did talk to Minna this past weekend. She had a great birthday. She'd like to say thank you to everybody who wished her a happy birthday. Minna's birthday was on the 6th. She spent the day hanging with friends and her family, and they had like a little party for her, and she had a great time. And then she got on Facebook and was bombarded with a bunch of, happy birthday posts and everything else. So she says thank you very much to everyone who wished her a happy birthday. So yeah, so that is how my weekend went. Hopefully your weekend went well as well. But y'all, you got to appreciate and like the small things. I'm going to try to enjoy the rest of the summer, doing a little bit more with the family. I've been online a lot. So I'm trying to limit how much I've been online lately, because the kids are busy, and then I just kind of sit here and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I'll like stitch or draw or, whatever. I don't know why I don't diamond paint. It's typically because I don't sit in my office like that. But I stitch like that though. Like I'll take the stitching anywhere with me and I'll go stitch on something. But I don't diamond paint like off screen too much. I have been with the counted cross stitch, or the converted cross stitch, but that's just been like maybe like 2 10x10 squares, and then I was like, okay, I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't know how people do this on massive kits. I can't. Some people do like the challenge though, so there's that. Did I put that up and down? How did I? Oh, okay, no, I didn't. It's just the way that the hole was looking. But I am going to get out of here now because I do have other stuff to do, and the ferrets need to get out of their cage because they've been cooped up for 2 days, and It shows. It definitely shows because they are getting antsy to get out of the cage and run around and have some fun. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful week, start to your week, and I hope it continues to get better throughout the week. I am going to go play Fall Guys with Orion because Maggie just went back outside, and then she'll cry later that, you know, we didn't play Fall Guys with her, or we didn't call her in to play Fall Guys, and I'm just like, you're an outside feral child. And now that she can play with all the kids in the neighborhood now, yeah, no, we see Maggie when it's time to eat or she wants something. Other than that, we don't see Maggie too much. So yeah, but I'm going to call it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I got quite a bit done. If you're wondering, the needle minder comes from Agnes Little Minders over on Etsy. We got this section here done and over here done, and now we're moving to this section over here. And of course, I will continue to work on this as we go. And this is how much of it I've gotten done so far. I really like doing this stitching. Apparently I can do it, so I'm excited about it. So maybe we'll do some more stitching chats. If you guys are interested, please let me know how you like this down in the comment section below. If you've gotten this far in the video, do you have a feral child? Which child is it? Have you had a bad date with your spouse, but you try to play it off so it didn't hurt their feelings? And I don't remember what the other question was, but I'm pretty sure if you watch the video, you already know. Feel free to leave multiple comments. But with that said, I must now bid you adieu. But not before reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets. Please stay safe and always remember to be kind to others because you never know what somebody else is going through. Be courteous because it's the right thing to do, and always stay cool. And whether I see you in YouTube or I see you in Twitch, either way, I'll see you when I see you. Bye!